A few people have recently been asking how to get hex values or colors into dreams from, like, if you're using Photoshop or you have an image on a computer and you want that specific color. Then there's different ways of like using a color dropper to grab that color and see what the information about that color is. So the next thing you want to do is I've made this object to make it easier. So if you adjust these, then that affects the actual color of the cube. So if you get the RGB, the red, green, blue values as percentages, then you can just put those percentages in, like so, and that changes the color of the cube. And then to actually use it in your scene, if you use the color picker, then you can press X on anything in the whole scene, like that, and it will grab that color. Now I can draw it around, and that should be the same color. And then then you can carry on changing this, and there's a shortcut for the color picker which is the pushing the touchpad. So I push the touchpad and click on that. Now I have that color. I can smear that around or use it in spray paint mode or whatever. So this can be used as like a little self-contained palette where you can set the specific color you want. And now I'll show you how to make that, because it might prove useful for someone. So let's put the grid on and stamp down a cube or whatever shape you want. And it doesn't really matter what color the cube is, because it's going to be overwritten. We're going to tint it fully, which means it will use this exact color for it. So if you set that to red, now that's red. If you set it to green, now that's green. So then we can use logic to set this using these value sliders. So first let's put on a value slider. And make it big enough. Cool. And then stamp 3 of them down. I'm holding L1 so that they stamp like onto the surface. I'm just going to resize, there we go. And you can call these different names. So this would be the blue one because it's at the bottom. And you can also give them colors, so that might be useful. So now we need to put our logic somewhere. I kind of hid it around the back over here on there, so I'll do the same here. I'll get a chip, surface snap it. So I'll pin this to the screen, which means even though I move around, it will stay stuck to that position on the screen. And we get a combiner and tweak it into the color mode. This means you get RGB, red, green and blue going into it, which is what we have over here. So let's plug those in. Red, green and blue. No, that was plugged in the wrong one. Blue. And that means because this is a special color fat wire coming out of here, we can plug that straight into the color of the tint. So now, because all these are 0, it's got 0 red, 0 green and 0 blue, so it's being set to black. And if we set it all red, now it's fully red. And we can set it all to white, and things like that. But we want these to kind of be the percentages. And this works fine because it actually wants a percentage between 0 and 1. So that's what these ranges have. But most of the time, if you're looking at a Photoshop or some gadget in a browser, then it will give you out of 100, as in 100% would be 1, for example. So we'll make that a bit easier by changing these. So I've selected those 3, and then I've tweaked one of them. And now while this is open, all of the selected objects of the same type as the tweak menu will be affected by the changes. So I can affect those. I can like set them all I can set them all to the same value, things like that. So we'll use L1 and square to actually get a number input like this, and delete those and put in 100. And now they're all on a scale from 0 to 100. But now this still wants just between 0 and 1, so we can change that now. Something cool about Dreams is that it understands fat wires, because these fat wires are basically 3 values in one fat wire. So we can use a calculator and wire that in, and we can affect all of those values at the same time as like separate values. So we can divide them all by 100, and then out the other side will be a fat wire of the same type, but with those values affected by this gadget. So now we don't need that, and if we put all zeros, then it's at black again, full red, and put up to white, like that. So that's all fine, and is all kind of self-contained with that microchip around the back. So now these values set the color of the actual box sculpt thing, and we can, as before, push the touchpad, grab that color, and it's the same color. I'd like to thank Martinity DK, Jack Power, Kelby Owens, and all of my other supporters for making this tutorial possible. Thanks for watching. If you'd like me to continue making these tutorials and helping creators across the internet, you can find out how to support me in the link in the description. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.